Welcome to the Science of Fiction HFY Galaxy Tales. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and tap the notification bell so you never miss a new story from HFY Galaxy Tales. Where humanity always finds a way. The trap in the forest. Jace moved carefully. Through the alien forest, thick red mist hung in the air, covering everything in a strange glow. The trees were wide and tall, their roots rising like walls from the ground. Strange animal sounds echoed around him, but he didn't stop. His rifle was loaded, his eyes sharp, but his mission was simple: scan the area, collect data, return to the dropship. But something felt wrong. Too quiet, too still, like the forest was watching him back. He checked his wrist scanner, but the signal was fuzzy. Suddenly, a high-pitched cry cut through the air, sharp and fast. It didn't sound like any animal. Jace spun around and ran toward the sound. His boots slammed against moss and roots as he moved. He pushed through heavy leaves and climbed over thick branches. Another scream, closer this time. He slowed his steps and raised his weapon. Then he saw her, a tiny alien girl, no taller than his waist, hung in the air by sticky vine nets. She had smooth purple skin, bright glowing green eyes, and two short blades strapped to her back. She struggled to cut herself free, but the vines tightened every time she moved. For a moment, Jace didn't move. He had never seen her species before. Her face was wild but not cruel, sharp but not angry. Then her eyes met his. She froze, lips trembling. Without thinking, Jace pulled out his knife and sliced the vines. The net snapped apart and she dropped to the ground, landing hard on her knees. She didn't run or attack. Instead, she looked up at him and pressed both hands flat to the dirt, her head lowered. He took a step back, unsure. Then she spoke in broken English. "Human strength, please, I need it." Jace lowered his rifle slowly. "You speak English?" he asked. She nodded, then pointed to her chest. "Riva," she said, then pointed at him. "Strong, help me." Jace looked around. The forest didn't feel any safer, and she clearly wasn't a threat. "What do you need help with?" he asked. Riva stood up, swaying slightly. "Hunt," she said. "Big beast took my sister. I must finish it, but I am too small." Jace frowned. "You're a hunter." Riva nodded quickly. "Tiny, but not weak," she said, pounding her fist softly against her chest. Then she reached into her small belt pouch and pulled out a small hologram cube. She clicked it on, and a large creature appeared, dark red, with sharp claws and a bone mask for a face. It was at least 10 feet tall. The image flickered, showing it dragging something away. Another alien girl, maybe her sister. Jace's stomach tightened. "You're going after that?" he asked. Riva nodded, eyes burning with pain and fire. Alarms rang in Jace's head. It was insane. She was too small, too light, and alone. But then he looked at her again, and saw no fear in her eyes, only pain and determination. He remembered his own sister back on Earth, lost during the war, and how powerless he had felt then. Jace lowered his weapon and sighed. "I'll help," he said. Riva's eyes widened. She stepped forward and placed one small hand on his chest. "Life debt," she whispered. "My strength is yours now." Jace raised an eyebrow. "I thought you said you wanted my strength." She smiled for the first time, a sharp little smile. "Stronger together," she said. They moved deeper into the forest, side by side. She walked fast, for someone so small, moving through the wild like she was born for it. She showed him claw marks on trees, broken branches, and bones in the dirt, all signs of the beast's trail. Jace listened and followed, setting up motion sensors and traps as they went. He showed her how to use his equipment, and she taught him how to sense the forest's moods. By the time the sky turned dark purple, they had built a trap zone, quiet, hidden, and deadly. As they sat by a fireless camp to rest, Jace looked over at her. She was sharpening her blades, eyes steady. "You're really going to fight it?" he asked. She didn't look up, just nodded. "For my sister," she said. Then after a pause, she added, "and for me." Jace leaned back and looked up at the stars through the red mist. He didn't know what tomorrow would bring, but tonight, beside this fierce little alien huntress, he didn't feel alone. The blood beast. The forest grew darker as the twin moons rose high above the trees. Red mist curled around the roots like smoke, whispering through the leaves. Jace and Riva crouched near a quiet cave, its entrance hidden by thick vines. It wasn't much, but it would keep the cold wind off their backs. Riva moved quickly inside and checked the corners. She sniffed the air, tapped the ground, and nodded. "Safe," she said. Jace stepped in behind her, wiping sweat from his forehead. It had been hours since they started tracking the blood beast. Riva drew a strange symbol in the dirt, a circle with jagged lines around it. This is its mark, she said. It hunts the weak, the alone. Jace sat down beside her, his back sore and his legs tired. You say it took your sister? He asked. Riva's hands stopped moving. She looked up at him, her eyes harder now. Yes, 2 moons ago. She was faster than me, stronger too. She paused, then added. But she screamed, just like I did in the trap. Jace said nothing. He knew that kind of pain. He had seen it in the eyes of soldiers who lost their brothers. He had felt it when his own squad was wiped out. Riva stood up and pulled out a sharp wooden stick. She pointed to the open space outside the cave. Tomorrow, it comes, she said. Blood beast follows scent. It knows I'm near. Jace checked his rifle and nodded. Then we make a plan. They spent the rest of the night preparing. Riva taught Jace how to lay scent trails using crushed roots and oils. Jace showed her how to build a pressure trigger trap using his equipment. They worked without speaking much, moving in rhythm. Side by side, the bond between them was growing, silent but strong. By dawn, they had created a killing zone, hidden. Blades hung from branches, sharp rocks placed under moss. Jace set up to stun mines near the bait spot, and Riva left a strip of cloth from her old hunting robe in the center. They hid behind a thick log just as the first heavy steps shook the ground. Riva pressed her body close to the dirt, her breath slow and silent. Jace gripped his rifle tight, eyes locked on the trees ahead. The blood beasts came into view like a nightmare. 10 feet tall, covered in armored skin, its face a mask of bones, its claws dripped with old blood, and its breath came out in thick clouds. It stepped into the trap zone, sniffing the cloth Riva had left. Then, it growled, deep and terrible. The trap snapped, a blade dropped from above, cutting into its shoulder. The creature roared and spun around, but more blades followed. Then the stun mine exploded, flashing bright blue light and sending it crashing to its knees. Now, Riva shouted. She leaped from the log, blades in hand. Jace fired 3 shots at the beast's legs, slowing it down. Riva moved like lightning, small and fast, cutting across its arms and sides, but the beast swung back hard, knocking her across the ground. Jace screamed and charged, slamming the butt of his rifle into its head. The creature roared again and grabbed him, lifting him off the ground. Jace gasped, kicking wildly. Then he saw a blurriva, jumping high. Both blades pointed down. She landed on the beast's back and drove the blades deep into its neck. It let out one last roar before crashing to the ground, motionless. Jace rolled away, coughing and bleeding. Riva crawled over to him, her arms shaking. You alive? She asked, barely. He replied, smiling through the pain. She looked at the beast, then at her hands. She had done it. She had finished the hunt, but not alone, stronger together. She whispered. Jace nodded. No way, I could have done that without you. They sat in silence for a while, both breathing hard. The forest was still again, but it no longer felt dangerous. It felt like they had claimed something back. Riva reached into her pouch and pulled out a small metal charm. She pressed it into Jace's hand. Hunter's bond, she said. You are part of my story now. He closed his hand around it and smiled. Then I'll wear it with pride. The blood beast was dead, but something else had been born, a bond forged in pain, courage and trust, not just between hunter and helper, but between 2 broken souls who chose to fight side by side. The last oath *. The morning after the battle was quiet. No growls, no screams. Just soft wind through the alien trees. Jace stood at the edge of the ruined hunting village, his body aching, his arm wrapped in bandage. Beside him, Riva walked slowly, her eyes taking in every broken hut and empty path. The village was dead, but it was still her home. She stopped near a burned shrine, its stone blackened and cracked. This is where we sang, she said softly. Before the beasts came. Jace looked at her, silent. She didn't cry, but he saw the sadness in her small face. Bones still lay in the corners of the village, too many to count. Jace knelt near one small skeleton and placed a piece of cloth over it. Riva watched him, her fingers shaking slightly. She stepped forward and placed her palm on the bones. Sister, she whispered, the beast is gone now. Jace stood and looked around. Is anyone else left? He asked. Riva shook her head slowly. No, just me, she said. I was last huntress, last voice. A low horn sound echoed from the forest, sharp and long. Riva's head snapped up. That is not ours, she said quickly. Another comes. Jace lifted his rifle, ready, but Riva stepped in front of him. No, shoot, she said. We wait. From the trees, a new shape appeared. It was not the blood beast, but something even bigger. a thick-armored creature with eyes like burning coals. It moved with slow, heavy steps, sniffing the air. It smells the fight, Riva said, her voice calm but firm. It wants to take what's left. Jace aimed, but his hands were weak. They had no traps left, no more stun mines. Riva looked at him, then reached for his hand. She held it tightly and said, "My people have no strength left." She placed her other hand on his chest. "But you, human, you carry enough for all of us." Jace swallowed hard. He didn't feel strong. He felt tired, bruised, broken, but Riva's eyes told him he was more than that. Together, they moved quickly to the old watchtower near the center of the village. It was shaky but tall, with old gear scattered inside. Jace found a long metal spear and handed it to Riva. He took a broken shield and tied it to his arm. The new beast entered the village with a growl. It sniffed the air and slammed a broken hut with its tail. Jace threw a rock to draw its attention. The beast turned, its eyes locking onto him. He ran toward the center of the village, leading it in a circle. Riva dropped from the tower. Landing on the beast's back, it roared and spun wildly, but Jace ran forward and slammed the shield into its face. Riva stabbed again and again, each cut deep and fast. The beast threw her off and turned toward her, but Jace was faster. He tackled the beast from the side, using all the strength he had left. Riva got up and jumped once more, this time driving the spear through its skull. The beast fell with a crash that shook the ground. It was over. Both of them stood panting, bodies shaking, but alive. Riva walked to the old shrine and lit a small flame. She pulled out her clan's final hunter mark, a silver symbol shaped like a rising star. She placed it gently into Jace's palm. "This is the last oath," she said. "No more hunters. No more blood." Jace looked at the mark, then at her. "I didn't do this alone," he said. Riva smiled and nodded. "But you answered when I begged," she said. "That is what makes you worthy." They sat by the fire that night, watching the stars rise. Riva leaned against his arm, silent but peaceful. Jace felt something deep in his chest: warmth, hope, belonging. "I came here for a mission," he said softly, "but I think I found something else." Riva closed her eyes and replied, "Not something," she whispered. "Someone." The forest was still, the village quiet. But two hearts now beat in rhythm, one human, one alien, bound not by orders or duty, but by trust, by pain shared, and by the strength that saved them both.